don't we start with the game that was billed as certainly the game of the week? We had a lot of game of the season hype before 49ers Eagles. Comfortable in the end for the 49ers, who haven't moved into the number 1 seed in the NFC that win, but have they moved into the top spot in the power rankings in your estimation?
I think so. And I think that's what almost everyone will show. To me, I mean, they looked like a well-oiled machine after the first quarter, but I think part of that was simply down, not sort of like schematic and dominance, but just down to tackling. That the Eagles missed a lot of tackles, didn't tackle well. The Niners cut through them amazingly well, and one thing it shows.
Not initially though, did they? I mean,
not in the first quarter, and that's why I think this was the accumulation of tough games for the Eagles in a row.
Right.
And they just sort of flattened out in this one.
I think that's a great point, Mike. Actually, that hasn't been made enough. The run that they've had, the schedule they've had has been brutal, and here they are as the number 1 seed. So we can't write off the Eagles.
Well, and it doesn't get better because they have to go to Dallas this weekend.
Yeah, right.
Which becomes a huge one because Dallas, Dallas is only a game behind now in the East.
It does get better after that, though. The good news for Philly fans: Seahawks home to Giants, Cards, and the Giants again. So
it's funny. The Seahawks are in a real spoiler position in the NFC because they've got San Francisco this week and then Philadelphia the next week. So they're in a position to really upset the apple cart there. But the other thing with Philly, I thought too, is they've had injuries to the linebacker. The second level is so. Well, I think I was talking last week to someone about Shaq Leonard, who's still a free agent. Everyone said, he's going to go sign with Dallas because they've been. But right now, I think if I were Howie Roseman, I'd be talking to Shaq's agent right now because although he's injured and he's not the player he was a couple of years ago, he's probably better than what their alternatives are.
Because specifically running on the Eagles is becoming an issue for that reason, right? Like successive weeks now we've seen
running, and as well the Eagles are the Niners attack your second level a lot. The run plays, like lots of zone blocking plays, are designed to get your runner onto the second level, but the passing attack is designed to get guys running crossing routes and hit in stride, and hopefully against linebackers if they can get a mismatch, or if they come across a zone. So that is problematic when you're playing the Niners. But with the 3 games the Niners lost were without Trent Williams, without Debo. Sure. And when you give Trent Williams had an amazing game. They were running behind him. McCaffrey got most of his yards running to the left behind him, and Debo obviously had a huge game. But Debo broke one, Johnson broke one. Where they're tackled basically, and they just break the tackle. And Debo's was amazing because he breaks the tackle and then splits 2 guys and then outruns the 4th guy. It was a brilliant play.
Well, that leads us on to the inevitable question that it feels like we have to ask almost every time we see a Niners performance like this. Debo had a lot of yards after the catch, as you mentioned. McCaffrey had a big game. They established the run pretty convincingly, but it was another really, really composed performance from Brock Purdy. So what does he have to do? How many more of these does he need before people are going to seriously look at him in that top tier? I mean, he 4 touchdowns. He did everything right once again.
I think your buddies at the Ringer have him ranked 20th in the league or something like that.
Just insane.
I read Peter King's column this morning, which I recommend, and I don't often do that, but I recommend it. I recommend it for. There's a great piece about the 1963 Army-Navy game, which I remember vividly, which they staged after Kennedy's assassination, but they postponed it a week. So it was in December. And that was when Army and Navy were playing for a bowl spot in the Cotton Bowl. They were both really good teams, and Roger Staubach was the Navy quarterback. And,
oh, wow. Okay.
And Navy won basically on a goal line stand at the end of the game where the clock ran out before Army could run a 4th down play. Things being what they are. It's a really interesting piece.
Did he have something to say about Brock Purdy as well then?
Well, yeah, he was talking about Brock Purdy's his number 1 pick for MVP.
I don't think that's a crazy
It's argument. Not crazy, but it's kind of, I'm not sure he's
Sensationalist.
It's hard to say, because I'm not sure, in the same sense that I don't think Tua is the MVP in Miami. I think Tyreek Hill is the MVP. I think that you can make a good argument for McCaffrey being their MVP, the team's MVP, because lots of stuff happens through him. But I mean, the thing that Purdy does that nobody seems to really appreciate is process. And this is what any NFL quarterback needs to do. Some guys get away with not processing well because they've got really strong arms. Some get away with it because they're very mobile and they can, keep a play alive and make hay out of the breakdown play. But Purdy is the old-fashioned kind of guy who sees what the defense is doing and understands where he needs to go, given what his offense is. So, he comes up to or sits in the shotgun, but looks at the line of scrimmage, sees what the defense is going to do, knows what his options are, and knows which one is the best one to start off with. And he's very, very accurate, even on longish throws. People say, he doesn't have much of an arm. But he puts the ball pretty accurately on 30 yards downfield. And I don't know what more you can take. And
he's tough as well, as he demonstrated last night. I mean, he could, he can handle himself. I mean, but this is
the touchdown pass last week in the end zone, the one that won the game to Ayuk. He throws that really early, anticipating where the play is going, and puts it right where he's going to be. That's the kind of innate sense of passing that guys like Brady and Manning have.
Right.
Right.
And I get that. I mean, we've talked about this for years, because it's an argument you put across for years, that if we're talking, and I know that sometimes the tiering of quarterbacks is a bit simplistic or facetious, but you've often maintained that one of the key things, we're looking at a point of distinction between the great quarterbacks and the good quarterbacks, is this element of anticipation, leading your receiver to the ball as opposed to the other way around, right? He's clearly got that. So why is that not valued as high, or maybe this is your point, as a dual threat ability?
Well, they never are. And in today's game, the dual threat is a big thing. I mean, so many teams are being successful with dual threat quarterbacks, and a number aren't, which everybody seems to forget. I used to say a long time ago, it was the 3 R's. I said, read, react, release. And, the really great quarterbacks do that quicker than the other quarterbacks do. And that compensates for a lack of pure arm strength. Arm strength, I think, is the single most overrated quality in a quarterback, apart maybe from size. Although small size, we're saying, does create some problems. But the quarterback who knows where the ball should go and can put it accurately, and in the case of an offense like San Francisco, but really any offense, you want to put it where you're leading your receiver to get extra yards and not get killed, if you can possibly avoid it. And that's what he's really good at doing. I'm just amazed, and why he doesn't get more recognition is I think he's looked at as being a system quarterback.